We're here at the International UFO Congress. This is KDIF 102.9. We are sitting here with, can I get your full name, please?
Dr. Lynne Kitei.
And Dr. Lynn, you have some information on your booth here. What is the information that you brought here today?
Actually, I am a key witness to what has become the most witnessed, most documented, and most important mass anomalous sighting in modern history, if not all of history. And as a personal, first-hand witness myself up close and personal, 2 years before the mass sighting, and I captured 35 millimeter photographs of these orbs in rock solid formation. The experience was incredible in and of itself, but then 2 years later, these phenomena came back at a distance, and I felt compelled as a scientist to document them again. I'm a medical doctor. I had no interest or knowledge at all in this topic until I saw it up close and wondered what this advanced technology was doing right outside our bedroom window.
Yes.
The pictures, by the way, are on the Phoenix Lights Network photo page. If anyone's interested in taking a peek at the only 35 millimeter photographs that are available of these anomalous aerial phenomena that have been actually analyzed and authenticated by university and military optical experts as true unknowns, go to the Phoenix Lights Network photo page, www.thephoenixlights.net, and you can see my unique collection, because 2 years after the close sighting that we had, these same lights started showing up at a distance, giant orbs. And I called them an orb because the light did not extend outside the edge, self-contained. And they were in rock solid formation, and it was so compelling that the scientists and me just had to photograph them. And I actually caught in January of '97 the same exact mile-wide phenomena that I would also capture on video during the mass sighting on March 13th, 1997.
Yes.
And as I'm shooting it, it actually turned into a V, and it was so unnerving that the next morning, and if you look at the photos of that series on the photo page on the Phoenix Lights Network website, the first picture is kind of wavy because I was shaking.
Wow.
It was so massive and so unusual that I called around, found air traffic controllers the next morning at Sky Harbor International Airport. They saw the same thing at the same time over Class B restricted airspace. People don't know this.
Wow.
1,000 feet altitude. This is really important data, because not only was it over Phoenix, but it was over Class B restricted airspace. Anybody that comes into that airspace, about a 30-mile radius, that's 1,000 feet altitude as these were, must call into the tower, and no one did.
Yeah.
So they took their binoculars to look, and in their own words, there were 6 points of light totally equidistant from each other, massive span over a mile wide, that seemed to be attached to something, but they couldn't quite see what these lights were attached to. And you would hear that again by thousands of people 2 months later during the mass sighting, or had a force field holding them in rock solid formation. One of them was a meteorologist and said that the entire massive unit turned as a unit against the wind. That's another significant point. Elevated slowly and moved behind South Mountain in synchrony, as they would say. So I said, so what was it? And there was silence. And then one of the air traffic controllers said, beats me. I said, you're an air traffic controller. You're supposed to know it's in our airspace. They had no idea. They ruled out every conventional aircraft, balloons, Chinese lanterns, flares, as well as even skydivers with lights. In any case, I continued photographing these phenomena at a distance up into and including March 13th, 1997, when thousands, for me it was just another night, I had no idea, that thousands of people were outside looking up at the sky at the Hale-Bopp comet, when they also caught a glimpse of mile to 8 mile wide, according to the National UFO Reporting Center in Seattle, Washington. Either these orbs that seem to be attached to something in a V shape or boomerang shape, or actual craft. And we're talking, after a 12-year study and 2 or more people had to see the same craft, there were 10 different craft. People don't know this unless they read my data. Because whether it was one craft that could morph into looking differently, or the perspective from where the person was standing, or a parade. And that's ultimately what was concluded, because It wasn't just 1 or 2 events as you would hear in the media.
Right.
Yes, from 8 to 10, most people were outside, and that's what they kind of hooked on to. Okay?
Sure.
But the mass sightings started at 3 p.m. in the afternoon, daylight sightings,
Uh-huh.
5 o'clock hour. Native Americans were seeing it in New Mexico,
Yeah.
California between 7 and 11. At 11 o'clock, one of these mile-wide craft covered Las Vegas, reported by 2 different commercial airline pilots, and they continued
All on the
until
same day?
5:30 the next morning on the 14th.
Wow.
When the last report that I know of personally was of a Boeing crewman that was coming into Sky Harbor and
Uh-huh.
said that his whole crew saw one of these mile-wide craft hovering right over their tarmac.
Wow.
Also, it's important to note that at 8:30, according to an alleged crewman who called the National UFO Reporting Center
Uh-huh.
at 3 a.m., there were jets, military jets from Luke, that actually went to intercept and get gun camera film of one of these mile-wide craft right over 7th Avenue and Indian School.
Oh, wow.
And as it got closer,
Yeah.
the lights dimmed, and then the entire thing blinked out and disappeared, freaking out one of the pilots that he said he helped out of his craft. So there was a lot going on.
Wow.
And there's much more to this story, and how the story unfolds is so amazing in and of itself, and it keeps unfolding, because the morning after the mass sighting,
Mm-hmm.
when I called the air traffic controllers
Yes.
to find out if they saw the same thing that I thought was in the same location, it was.
Yeah.
Not only that, but they shared with me that there were a couple pilots, a private pilot and commercial pilot, that called into the tower to report it. We just found out, and I actually put that in my first edition of the book 7 years later.
Very cool.
That there were pilots that saw, which is very credible, that they saw it
Right.
too, right, over Class B restricted airspace.
Yeah.
And one of the pilots, the private pilot, came forward just last year. It was Kurt Russell, the actor.
Yeah, really?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes, he was flying into
Yeah.
Sky Harbor. He was about 5 miles out, and he actually saw the same exact thing I was filming at the same time. He saw 6 points of light that were in a giant V formation. His son saw it,
Uh-huh.
alerted him, and he called into the tower and reported it.
Wow.
So there is so much more to this story, and I hope people not only will take a look at the website, which is packed,
Yes.
packed with information to explore. Go to the Gap page, and you'll see the 10 different craft and animations,
Uh-huh.
as well as the news page. A lot of stuff there,
Uh-huh.
and also the book, The Phoenix Sites of Skeptics: Discovery That We Are Not Alone, that I did. I pushed my whole medical career aside for 7 years.
Oh, wow.
To try to find a logical explanation, which I have yet to find.
That's
22
incredible.
years later,
Yeah.
and condense the best of what I found over 7 years
Yes.
into 230 pages, and now it's in its third print, 350 pages.
Is that the book we
'cause I
have here?
keep adding it, yes.
Okay, that's the book we have here.
And then once I came forward, I was approached by filmmakers and wanted to do something visually for people,
Uh-huh.
so they could hear it from the witnesses themselves and the experts themselves. And our documentary has won over a dozen International Film Festival awards. We're very proud of that.
Yeah.
And the latest thing that I've done, because I want to get this into the classroom,
Yes.
is a graphic novel activities coloring book called The Adventures of Sue, F.O., Field Observer,
Yes.
and Hugh, Hughfo.
Very
and he's a
nice.
little alien. And it's
Yeah.
it is 160 pages of the Phoenix Lights, of the historical pictures, of 80 crop circles,
Oh, wow.
and activities, word finders, and crossword puzzles, and all kinds of fun stuff.
That is very nice. Just for the listeners and for the people that don't have access to the website, where can they get the book or the DVDs?
Okay. Either the website
Okay.
or at Amazon.com. They're
Okay.
all three are at Amazon.com.
And they're all available. What's the average cost for like the book and the DVD? What are those?
The average cost of the book is about $20.
Okay.
And as well as the documentary.
Okay. Perfect.
And then I have a black and white version of the activities graphic novel, which is $10, and the colored version, which is really cool too,
Yeah.
is $20.
That's very nice. Lynn, one question I wanted to ask is when you were seeing the lights and this mile-long visual thing is in the sky, was there any noise or was there
None.
anything?
That was what was so eerie.
Uh-huh.
I mean, like I said, there's so much to this story.
Yeah.
And there's so much detail. I mean, the technology itself was unbelievable. If we're talking about 1 to 8 mile wide
Yeah.
objects without sound,
Right.
what's the propulsion of these? And we've never seen anything that even
Like
comes
that.
close in 22 years. Plus, some people saw it take off at blink speed without even dispersing the air. Other people saw these orbs detach from the main object, go out into the environment, and redock with it. And we're talking rooftop level.
Wow.
Some people said it was so close they could have thrown a rock at it. And it's also important to note there was not one. In 22 years, over 22 years, not one report of harm, threat, or abduction associated with the Phoenix Lights phenomena. Can't speak for other things, but I can for the Phoenix Lights. And there's been a couple movies out there that are horror flicks that are fictionalized to the max. Okay, people should know that.
Yes.
But the documentary itself is the real deal.
And one thing I wanted to ask was, prior to you taking the photos, which is what started the whole thing, were you a believer?
I had no interest
whatsoever
at all of this topic. In fact, I'm a healthy skeptic. As a physician, you must be open to everything that walks through the door. But I got to see it to believe it.
Yeah.
And I did. I saw it up close and personal, got 35 millimeter photos that I've had extensively analyzed. There is no answer. They're true unknowns. So I'd like somebody to tell me what they are.
Yeah, and I was gonna ask. So in the 20 years that the video footage has been out, has there anybody that has either tried to debunk the footage or say
No,
any?
they can't. I mean, I've really had it analyzed. The only explanation and how the story unfolds itself is very interesting because there was no investigation, no explanation for months.
Right.
And then finally, on June 18th, there was a front page USA Today article that opened our sighting to international scrutiny. We were deluged. We didn't have social media at the time, and it went viral overnight.
Wow.
And that very next day was the first time we heard from anyone, from the former governor, Arizona Governor Symington, that he was holding an unscheduled press conference that afternoon. And everybody took it seriously to reveal the culprit of the Phoenix Lights. And he marched out one of his aides with a giant alien head, which really was disconcerting.
It was
disconcerting for the witnesses, and kind of put a lid on it until they came out with the flare thing a month later. I mean, there's a lot more to the story. I was communicating with military and so forth, and I got a call that, they forgot to look at the log for visiting Air National Guard. And I said, wait a minute. When were the Maryland Air National Guard in town? They said March 1st to the 15th. I said, were they in town in January? And she said, oh, no. I said, are you sure? She said, absolutely not. I said, well, I have 35 millimeter photographs of the same exact phenomena in the same exact location 2 months before the mass sighting, confirmed the next morning by air traffic controllers as hovering over Class B restricted airspace at 1,000 feet altitude. And she says, you never told me that.
Oh, wow.
And then I said, and I'd educated myself to anything logical, including flares, military illumination flares. I said, you're trying to tell me that flares that cannot keep a formation, they drift and drop on parachutes with the wind haphazardly. They have huge smoke trails that are illuminated by the flare itself. Not one person described that saw the true unknowns. Anyway, I said, you're trying to tell me that flares that cannot keep a formation traverse the entire state of Arizona in a rock-solid, equidistantly spaced, mile-wide V formation for hours? And she says, I have a call coming in. I'm still waiting. 22 years later.
And you had they were calling you with
I had called them.
And then
I had called every military base. I have some of the conversations in my book, and they're comical. Okay,
very cool.
Because they had no idea what they were. They were just as curious as we were.
Wow.
And then I get this thing that it's flares. Interestingly, 3 years later, former Councilwoman Vice Mayor Frances Barwood, who was the only elected official, who asked innocently in a council meeting for an investigation. She got plastered by the media, by the way.
Wow.
There was a lot of ridicule and discrediting and all that going on at the time. 3 years later, she was running for Secretary of State to get answers for the lights over Phoenix as a public safety issue and asking for a reenactment. We get an announcement, 3 Air National Guards. People don't know this. 3 Air National Guards right before the 3rd anniversary. And there's a video of what they did on the news page on the Phoenix Lights Network website. If you scroll down to AZ Family, it was a joke. I mean, that, if anything, put the nail in the coffin for flares.
Right.
Plus the fact, so they've never been reenacted, by the way. Plus the fact that right after the 10th anniversary, former Arizona Governor Symington, for whatever reason, came forward bravely to say that he actually saw.
I remember that.
One of these craft, and in his own words, it was definitely not flares,
right,
but otherworldly.
I remember that. Yeah, that was, and I was born and raised, so I kind of went through the whole. I was a witness, and I seen it. I didn't see anything like what you saw. The only thing we really saw was a really dark, very big shape,
Cool.
and we didn't hear anything.
Right.
You know, there was no sound.
Right.
So,
I mean, it's very eerie, but again, people were in awe. People were in wonder, and nobody was scared. Nobody was scared. If anything, in real time and long term, people it changed their lives forever at a very deep level, and that doesn't happen with flares and
no,
planes.
it doesn't. And that's the last question I had for you. Since the whole phenomenon and this new path that you've been taking in life, has it changed your life?
Are you kidding me?
In I was gonna say in a bad
I
way.
would have
Is
never,
it like any?
no, actually, it's all been in a good way.
That's
I've been
good.
very fortunate.
That's good.
I stayed anonymous for 7 years.
Yeah.
Doing my homework because I knew nothing about this topic, and I was amazed how much credible material there was out there.
Yeah.
I mean, 750 pages of a lot of pages of really important data.
Yeah.
And since I came forward, and if when people say, "Oh, it was flares" or whatever, I know, and everybody comes from a different background, different upbringing, different belief systems. Some people can't deal with this topic.
Yes.
Some people don't want to, and that's okay. Everyone in their own time, and if you want to feed into the flare theory, go be, that's fine.
Yeah.
Everyone in their own time. But now there's data. That's why I had to come forward as an educator for over 40 years on vital health issues, as a medical doctor on NBC and USA Cable, and I have my own company. How could I not share this data?
Right.
So once I came forward and people actually read it, and that's the point, if I can be a credible voice so people actually look at the data, then I've done my job. And people that do look at it really appreciate the work, and they learn. And people that have had experiences, that's the other thing I didn't know until the book came out, because I started out as a real healthy skeptic.
Okay.
Even though I saw something extraordinary up close and personal and got pictures.
Right.
And just talking about my own transformation through the process has helped other people transform to a positive place.
That's amazing. Well, we want to thank you for your time, Dr. Lynne. This is we're really excited because we have a podcast and we just talked about the Phoenix Lights, and that was like our first story, and we've kind of been doing the research and to meet you in person. We want to thank you for the strength to come forward and to share your story with the rest of us, and we really appreciate the time.
Thank you so much for letting me share, because that's the point. So people know that there is much more to the story than they're hearing out in the media or general public. And every March around the anniversary, this year I believe it's going to be March 15th, we have a special showing of the documentary in the big silver screen of the Scottsdale Harkin Shea Theater.
Okay, Scottsdale.
It's sold out every year. It's regular movie prices. And not only that, but we have speakers as well as a Q&A, and that's where it really gets interesting, because we just let it all hang out, and we really get into such interesting discussions. People can feel comfortable. They come as strangers, but they leave connected.
Is that, you said it'll happen in March?
March 15th. Take a look at the either the Phoenix Lights Network Facebook page or in the Phoenix Lights Network website. We will be posting, and they'll be able to get their tickets there as well. So, and I always urge people to get your tickets
early.
This past year, we were in 2 separate theaters because it was just such a response, and because it's such a great event, and we're so glad to do that for the community. Yeah,
this is one of the biggest sightings on the pretty much that's known to man at this point. Yeah, so we're fortunate to be from Arizona and have that. Yeah, so thanks again. We really appreciate the time. We hope to hear more from you in the future and to attend the upcoming video that they show every year for the documentary. I'm sorry, the anniversary of the documentary. Yes.
And it's also available on Amazon and also the website.
Thank you so much, Lynne. It's great to talk to you. We appreciate it.
Keep looking up.